Hi, I'm CF3 Loyal, still staying at home every other Saturday-ish, bringing you the quintessential Rangers vlog from the Isle of Lewis. Failed you. So you'll see I'm wearing casual clothes tonight, no Rangers top. That's because unlike supporters of the other end of Glasgow, I didn't pack it for holiday, or weddings, or funerals, or date nights. Anyway, my new top wouldn't have arrived in time anyway. That's a different argument. Anyway, the new season starts tomorrow, so let's look ahead to the Aberdeen game. But I'll also ask the question, should we be concerned by the lack of new signings? And I'll start there. We haven't improved our starting 11 from last year. And we go into Aberdeen with an almost full strength team. And for me, I'm not concerned going into Aberdeen tomorrow. And the reason I'm not concerned is because we've never had an issue raising our game for individual games. Our issue is around the quality of the squad and the options from the bench. And I think our starting 11 tomorrow pretty much picks itself and is pretty strong. We'll go McGregor, or I'd assume we'll go McGregor, Tav, Goldson, Edmondson, Barisic, Jack and Kamara, Aribo in front, Hagi, Morelos, Kent. And I think that's a very good starting 11. Aribo in particular has excelled in pre-season. If there was an award for player of the pre-season, Aribo would have won it. But the real challenge for Aribo is taking that form into the season when it actually really matters. So what's the problem then? If our starting 11's looking pretty good going into tomorrow, what's the problem? Well, for me, it's around the squad depth and strength. You know, tomorrow's probably a good game that you can play Kamara and Jack between each other. I've seen a lot of people ask the question, why do we need another centre mid when you do have Davis to come in, who's likely going to miss out tomorrow, but you've got Arfield on the bench, as well as guys like Docherty, McCrory, Burjonis, all these guys kicking around the squad as well. Well, the reason why I think we need another central midfield player is simple. There are some games, as we've seen pre-season, that you don't need two fairly defensive-minded centre mids. You just need to look at Zungu. A lot of people seem to have this impression that Zungu is a powerhouse defensive midfielder. You just need to look at his YouTube footage to show that he's not actually a powerhouse defensive midfielder. Zungu is more of a kind of American football quarterback, is what I describe him as. He does win the ball back, which is obviously what he's going to be needed to do. But he's described more as being a box-to-box midfielder. And again, if you watch his footage, you'll see that actually he's capable of spraying balls about. And I think that's what we need. We can't go into games, particularly at Ibrox, where teams will sit really deep against us and have two fairly defensive-minded midfield players, because we ultimately won't break down that deep-lying defences. And therefore, I'm a complete advocate of signing somebody else to play alongside Ryan Jack in that central midfield place. But tomorrow, for me, Kamara, who's done really well pre-season, will play again alongside Jack, and I'm sure they'll both play very well. You then look at the squad depth, and I think if you look at the squad tomorrow, the bench won't be strong. You know, we're Defoe down. We only have two strikers with Alfredo Morelos, who I think will start. You know, I mentioned it there. I think Morelos will start despite the rumours of a move away. Gerrard made it very clear in his press conference that he is a Rangers player, and he will be available in his plans when we go up to Pittodrie tomorrow. But it's going back to that bench. You know, the players that you're probably looking for if something happens to Morelos, fingers crossed it doesn't, it's Barker and Greg Stewart. None of them are recognised number 9s, so that's the ultimate, that's the immediate weakness for me, is that we need to strengthen that number 9 position. Now that'll determine whether Morelos goes or whether he stays, where we or how we strengthen. You know, I think we need a second or third choice centre forward. I've made that very clear in my previous videos. We've seen us linked with a number of players recently. A number of the players that we've been linked with are not number 2 choices. You know, Josh Maya, Kemar Roof are not number 2s. But Mirko Maric, for example, he's someone I did mention in one of my earlier vlogs. But I did say that I thought our interest may end with him when Mark Allen moved on, because he was the expert in the Croatian market. I don't see him coming in as a starter. I very much see him as somebody who'd be coming in to boost that squad. I think it's very interesting to see who we bring in to boost the squad, and whether that person's going to sit behind Defoe in the pecking order, or whether we'll sit ahead of him. But I definitely think we need to strengthen the number 9 position. At least one player if Morelos stays, but 2 if he goes. If Morelos goes, for me it's a straight shootout between Roof and Maya. There's been a few other names mentioned, but those are the 2 that have had a lot of the momentum built up in the media and in social media. And for me, either one of them could come in and enhance our starting 11 if Morelos does go. I've seen a lot of people say that we need 3 strikers brought in. We play one up top. For me, if we play one up top, I can't see us signing 3 strikers, because you would always have 2 missing out in the squad, or 2 missing out getting action. And for me, if you're wanting to sign real quality, which is what we need, real quality depth in the squad, you're not going to have a guy who's happy to sit on the bench. For me, it's ruled out for me. So we'll sign the centre mid, box to box centre mid. We'll sign a centre forward. For me, after that, I mentioned Joe Aribo. Joe Aribo has obviously done so well pre-season. He's almost made that number 10 position his own in the central position alongside Kent and Hadji. The biggest issue for me is if something happens to any of those 3 players. Again, you're looking at the 2 players that I mentioned as replacement for Morelos tomorrow, and it's Barker and Stewart. They're not good enough. I know Barker's had a good pre-season. He's still not good enough. Greg Stewart's not good enough to be in a Rangers jersey fighting for a championship. Sorry, it had to be said. We need to sign a number 10. And I think Gerrard knows that. But Gerrard's called for patience. And I think he's right for patience, because there's leagues that have only been concluded in the past week, last weekend. Those that were not concluded via a Zoom call, for example. So therefore, we had to wait for these seasons to finish. And I think those seasons finishing will determine who we bring in. I've mentioned Zungu already. I don't believe Zungu's our number 1 choice for central midfield. I think there's maybe somebody ahead of him who we were waiting on his team finishing before we go and start negotiating terms with him. We've seen it with Leon Balogun when we signed him and brought him in for our centre back option. You know, that was in the bag for over a week before we announced it, as he was playing the remaining games for Wigan. I firmly believe we will be in discussions with players. Again, Gerrard said in his press conference earlier on today that he has at least one player lined up to be announced within the coming days. I firmly believe that Ross Wilson is doing a very good job of having those conversations behind the scenes, hopefully unknown to guys like myself that just rock up on holiday with a camera in front of them and just start chatting about Rangers. But I firmly believe we will make another signing. I said in one of my previous vlogs that we were interested in Kenny McLean. I heard that reliably. Also heard we were reliably interested in Lyndon Dykes, but I think the price tag that Livingston have priced him out of his dream move to Rangers after he died this year. Anyway, we'll move on from that. I don't think Lyndon Dykes will be a Rangers player. Can't see us paying £2 million for Lyndon Dykes. I also don't think we'll sign Kenny McLean. When you look at guys like Bongani Zungu and the appeal that he has in South Africa and the commercial revenue that he could generate for this club, I think there's a lot of sense to bringing someone like that in who's performed at a high level in League One in France over say someone like Kenny McLean. But I do believe that leagues finishing across Europe could have an influence on who we do bring in, but also who we sell. You know, Lille are obviously front runners for Alfredo Morelos just now, but West Brom are interested. They've just gained promotion. They're going to have a big wad of cash joining the Premiership now. These could be huge moments for the club and who we bring in, who we sell, and who to. I'm going to throw a name out there, and I've mentioned this a lot on Twitter, and it's a campaign that I've started ahead of Zungu of who I would love to see partner Ryan Jack, and that's Nathaniel Chalobah at Watford. Watford have just been relegated. He wasn't necessarily a first team player every game, but he's a player of high quality. Chalobah, I'd imagine he's on a decent wage and he would command a decent transfer fee. But the link that Rangers have to Chalobah is he worked under Michael Beale at Chelsea, and I know that Michael Beale really rates Chalobah very highly. I could see us potentially going and having conversations with guys that have just been relegated, that are available just now, potentially for lesser values, and that's why we've not announced Sungu yet. It's because we want to sound these players out, test the water in terms of transfers, what they're available for, whether they're interested in coming to Scotland and play for Rangers. Only time will tell, but I'll be interested in the next coming days to see what that player is, who that player is that Gerard's referring to, because I do think we absolutely need players. But I don't think it's an immediate concern that social media and people on social media would have you believe, because we go in tomorrow to Aberdeen having had a very strong pre-season. Now, if you look at Aberdeen, they're missing their first choice two strikers. We all know Sam Cosgrove. He was linked with a £3 million move away, but he'd rejected that deal to hopefully get a bigger move down south. And it's unfortunate for him and unfortunate for Aberdeen. He's picked up an injury, but you know what? One of the vlogs that I'd said previously is we need luck, and there's nothing more lucky than Aberdeen's best player and one of the top goal scorers in the Scottish Premiership to get injured before we go to Pittodrie. It's a huge blow for Aberdeen, but it should be a huge boost for us. We should be going to Pittodrie full of confidence after pre-season, knowing that they're missing Cosgrove, knowing that they're missing Curtis Main, and they will likely start Bruce Anderson, who's an academy player from Aberdeen. But Bruce Anderson poses a completely different threat to the previous two, who are very physical. Bruce Anderson's younger, he's a bit more pacey, and he's actually a very good finisher, as he's proven against us in the past. We need to be really careful against Bruce Anderson that we don't sit with a high line, for example. We don't go too tight to him. But you know, we've not conceded a lot of goals pre-season, if any. Goldson's looked really assured. For all his critics, I'm a big fan of Goldson, and hopefully him and Edmondson have built up that partnership in pre-season, and we can keep that clean sheet. Going into tomorrow, as I said, I'm confident. I'm not worried. I might not get to see the game. Tomorrow's the best day in the Isle Lewis. I inquired about the Lewis and Harris Rangers Supporters Club. They're not showing the game, which means I'd be sitting in front of an iPad with my brother-in-law and father-in-law, sitting watching the game. I'll probably sit with my phone on a beach with the family as they're playing in the sea. I'll be that guy sitting in the sand, just this. But hopefully I'll get to see the game. Given our pre-season form, given the players that Aberdeen are missing, I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go 3-0 tomorrow. I'm really confident. Hopefully this does not bite me. I am really confident going into tomorrow's game. 3-0, I think Alfredo will score. I think Alfredo will start, I think he'll score. Joe Aribo's on great form, I think he'll go on and score. But one of my outside bets, and it's not really an outside bet, but one of the players that I tipped to have a good season this year is Ryan Kent. I said that a pre-season would do him the world of good. I said that having Hadji on the other side would take pressure off of him, but also mean that defences wouldn't be able to double up on him. I think Ryan Kent could have a good game tomorrow and be key. We've seen pre-season in 3 games, he's got 2 assists and a goal. I think that's right. He's been great pre-season as well. Him and Aribo are the standouts for me in pre-season, so hopefully they take that form into tomorrow and we go and really show Aberdeen that we mean business and lay down that marker for this season, because we all know what this season means to us. It's everything. It's not about stopping 10 in a row. I don't care what they do. It's about winning 55, and I hope that every single Rangers player is ready to go out there this season and win 55. We're seeing the videos coming out from the Rangers Twitter accounts, from Facebook, social media, saying, show me your videos of how you prepare. Well, show us tomorrow how you're prepared for this season, because this means everything to me. It means everything for the fans. Go and do it. Show how much it means to you as well. 55 means everything to us. Come on, let's do it. Anyway, that's my prediction for tomorrow. I'm going to wait on my predictions for the season until we see who we bring in, see who we lose or who moves out. I do think we'll see a number of squad players leaving, but that again is not an issue for me. I want that to happen. It's about what first 11 players such as Alfredo Morelos leave and who we replace them with before I give you my prediction. But tomorrow's huge for us. Come on Rangers, let's do it. I'm CF3 loyal. Stay safe, stay staunch.